Good Friday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Right now on Morning News Now, motion to unseal. New developments in the FBI search of Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. This morning, the former president encouraging the immediate release of the search warrant to the public after the Attorney General announced he signed off on the search himself.
I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter.
Plus, new information this morning about the timeline of events leading up to the unprecedented search. We have team coverage. Suspect identified, disturbing new details about a deadly hours-long standoff at an FBI field office in Cincinnati. What we're learning about the suspect shot and killed by officers, including possible ties to the January 6th attack at the Capitol. Pumped. Some much-needed relief for drivers this morning. The national average for a gallon of regular, less than $4 and still dropping. Now down 2 more cents from yesterday. So is it all downhill from here? What you need to know before you hit the road. And welcome to the metaverse. You could call it an immersive experience or a hilarious experiment, or both. Watch what happens when I take my good friend and metaverse skeptic, Harry Smith, inside the metaverse for the first time. That was just so much fun to do.
I'm very excited to see Harry in the metaverse.
It is funny. That is a tease. Please stick with us. You will love it. It will make you smile on a Friday morning. It's just so much fun to do with Harry, who's going to be with us live to tell us his take.
It'll be a new show, Harry in the Metaverse.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. That's a little bit later this hour. We begin, though, this morning with new developments in the Justice Department's decision to seek a search warrant for former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate.
In a short news conference yesterday, Attorney General Merrick Garland said he personally signed off on the decision to search Trump's residence. He also announced the Justice Department was asking to make the warrant available to the public.
The search warrant was authorized by a federal court upon the required finding of probable cause. I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter. The department does not take such a decision lightly. Where possible, it is standard practice to seek less intrusive means as an alternative to a search and to narrowly scope any search that is undertaken.
The former president released a statement last night saying he will not oppose the release of the warrant. He added, I am going a step further by encouraging the immediate release of those documents. Also this morning, NBC News has learned from multiple sources that the former president received a subpoena from the Department of Justice in the spring for documents that the FBI believed he had in his possession at Mar-a-Lago but had not turned over to the National Archives. We have full coverage ahead for you this morning. In just a minute, we're going to hear from former DOJ National Security Prosecutor Joseph Moreno, but we're going to start with NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard and NBC News Justice reporter Ryan Riley for the latest on this search at Mar-a-Lago. Vaughn, let's start with you outside Mar-a-Lago. Trump says he will not oppose this move to unseal the search warrant. So what happens next? And if it is released, when might it be available to the public? What could we learn from it?
Right, this was sort of the 11th hour, quite literally, announcement from Donald Trump late last night here. The deadline was 3 p.m. Eastern, is what the Attorney General had laid down for Trump's counsel to determine whether it would intend to fight that motion to unseal both the search warrant as well as the property receipts, which would document what exactly was taken from his Mar-a-Lago residence on the day of that search warrant execution here. We now are waiting for when those 2 documents will ultimately be released. In fact, I look forward to hearing from Ryan, who may be able to provide a better timeline, quite frankly, because he and Daniel Barnes have been tracking exactly what, in terms of redactions, we should expect, which, to our understanding at NBC News, both of these documents will have some redactions. It is also not the search warrant affidavit, which is the document that the FBI went to the judge initially with, laying out the probable cause that a crime was committed. So there's a chance that we do not have a great understanding of exactly the crimes or potential crimes that the Department of Justice and the FBI are investigating here. But this is the same magistrate judge who will ultimately release these documents, is the same one that gave that initial approval to the FBI, Joe.
So, Ryan, very quickly, I'll put Vaughn's question to you. What can we expect? Is there going to be a lot of redactions if it is released?
I think there could be some redactions, but I do think that just the documents that we are going to get, even if we don't get that affidavit, which it doesn't look like we're going to get initially, it could be very relative. They could be certainly relevant and could be information that people will definitely be interested in, because there's going to be two attachments to this key cover page of the search warrant. There's going to be one attachment A, which is going to sort of describe Mar-a-Lago. That's not going to be that exciting necessarily, but attachment B is going to be an important one, because that one's the one that's really going to drill down to what exactly they were looking for. So we're going to find out probably what they were looking for and then what they actually took. The redactions obviously could hide a lot of that, especially if this revolves around things that are classified and very high national security information. Certainly that's something that DOJ is going to be careful about specifying, but they also have an interest in making sure that the public knows that this was done by the books and this was a necessary step. Garland sort of laid that out yesterday, saying that this was a step that they took after going through a process here. And I think the judge has really some incentive to get this out as well, because of course the judge has really come under really intense scrutiny from Trump supporters. His page was already taken down. The magistrate judge's page with his key information was taken down from the website because he was getting all of these attacks. So he's very much incentivized to get this out quickly, because I think that they want to show the American public that this was done on the up and up and this was done properly. And I think that, that indication that, as NBC News has reported now, that there were months ago that the the former president received a search warrant illustrates that to a certain extent, because that news held for months. The fact that the former president of the United States received the search warrant and that FBI agents were at Mar-a-Lago in early June was not released to the public. It was only when Donald Trump decided himself to release this information on the latest search that took place on Monday that this became really a matter of public interest.
So, Vaughn, we're learning a lot more about what led up to all of this. What can you tell us about the timeline surrounding the DOJ's conversations with Trump and his legal team in the spring and the efforts to try and get these documents?
Right. The release of these documents, as Ryan just outlined, by the Department of Justice was done in large part because there was such uproar and outrage on the political right, including among Donald Trump's own allies and Donald Trump himself, who called it a political witch hunt against him. In the important context that we also came to find out just yesterday afternoon, shortly behind that Merrick Garland press conference, was that, in fact, before this search warrant execution, earlier this spring, Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago here had received a subpoena for these very documents. There was a meeting then on June 3rd between the Department of Justice and Trump's counsel. Donald Trump, to our understanding, was there even as well, in which this meeting was set up so that Trump's team could turn over the relevant documents that were required to be turned over under that subpoena from the Department of Justice. Clearly, over the course of the last 2.5 months, though, it was determined that by the Department of Justice that the documents that were received were insufficient or didn't meet their expectations of what they were going to acquire. We're still trying to figure out that timeline, that 2-month timeline between that turning over of the subpoena documents and then ultimately the search warrant execution there, because that comes down to the heart of the question is, what is the Department of Justice? What is the FBI looking for? What was their expectation? What was the probable cause that they had that a crime was committed? What led them here to Mar-a-Lago this week?
Vaughn Hilliard, Ryan Riley, thank you so much for kicking us off this hour. We appreciate it.
Let's now bring in former Department of Justice National Security Prosecutor Joseph Moreno. He's also a former FBI consultant and federal prosecutor. Joe, good morning. Thanks so much for your time. So I want to start first with this distinction between a search warrant, which will be released, and then that underlying affidavit, which will remain sealed for now. What can we expect to learn today from what will be unsealed, and what then will still be unknown?
Sure. Good morning, Savannah. So the warrant itself, it might let people down a little bit because it's not going to have a lot of the details, as your correspondence very well laid out, that a lot of us really want to know. So if we do get to see the warrant and the attachments and the return, what we will get is a sense of what the FBI was looking for, where they were looking for it, and what they ultimately took. Now, that sounds great. The problem is it's probably going to be fairly high level. It's going to say, documents with certain classification markings on them, right? Maybe, I don't know, maybe other things like laptops or phones or things like that. And then on the return, which is basically the inventory of what they ultimately seized from the residence, it'll say 15 boxes of documents marked classified. It's not going to give us an itemized list of what exactly was taken or what exactly they were looking for. So it'll give us some details, but not the full picture.
So also, as we just heard from our correspondents, Trump was subpoenaed, we know, in the spring for documents the FBI believed the former president hadn't turned over to the National Archives, the whole issue here. So how sure would the Justice Department have to be that there was something to be found that had not been handed over to escalate the situation like this and execute that search warrant and go into his home?
You know, so that piece of reporting is actually a pretty important piece of this puzzle, right? Because part of the search warrant affidavit, the application, which is the part we're not going to see, is that you have to establish evidence of criminality, why you believe that evidence is at a certain location, and the third thing is why less intrusive means would not have been sufficient, right? And the Attorney General got to this as well in his comments. So the least intrusive is negotiations. Basically, you ask nicely for what you're looking for. The second is a subpoena, right? A grand jury subpoena, which at risk of contempt, a person must respond to. The third is a search warrant, basically saying, okay, we asked nicely, we served a subpoena, neither one were working, we got to go in there. And so that's the case you have to make to the magistrate, and that's what effectively the Department of Justice did here.
Now, some Trump allies are arguing that presidents have the power to declassify documents, which means whatever the FBI found simply cannot be considered classified if Trump had already declassified them. What do you make of that idea, and does it make a difference if Trump was in office when that happened or if he declassified the material?
So, Savannah, the point is a good one, but it comes with a big caveat. Yes, under the Presidential Records Act and various executive orders, presidents have almost complete authority to classify and declassify information. However, it has to be done correctly. It has to be done while you're in office, so you can't do it afterward. And also, it has to be documented. You can't just grab batches and batches and boxes of documents and say, okay, they're declassified. There's a process. You have to document it. The classification markings have to be removed. All of this has to be done before you leave office. So this is going to be a very, very important point if this case, in fact, moves forward. That's going to be probably the biggest part of the defense, is going to say these were properly declassified. And the Department of Justice is going to say, no, I don't think so.
Now, last quick question for you here. Attorney General Garland said yesterday that the Department of Justice speaks through its court filings and specifically noted that they didn't make a public statement on the day of the search, that it was Trump who broke the news. The Attorney General also made the point he has the right to do so. But how does it complicate things for the Justice Department to have a former president, with this large and loyal following that he does, on the other side of that search to say, hey, this happened at my house?
Well, I mean, in fact, a former president or a current president has no more or less rights than any of us American citizens, right? The rights to privacy and the rights in our homes. However, there's a political reality. When there's someone who's so infamous, when someone is so, so politically influential, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny. And so the Justice Department is going to want to say, look, we're willing to be held accountable, and that accountability goes to the top. And so I salute the Attorney General for saying, you know what, I take responsibility for signing off on this warrant application. I think that's actually the right way to go, and I commend him for doing so.
Joseph Moreno, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
We're learning more about the armed suspect who was shot and killed yesterday by law enforcement in Ohio and his apparent connection to the January 6th insurrection. Two officials familiar with the matter identified the suspect as Ricky Walter Schiffer. Now, photos appear to show Schiffer in the baseball cap there at the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Law enforcement officials say it also appears that Schiffer made several posts on social media about his desire to kill FBI agents after former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence was searched earlier this week. Law enforcement officials say Schiffer fired a nail gun into the FBI field office in Cincinnati, then tried to get into the office. When he wasn't able to do that, they say he then drove off, leading authorities on a chase that ended with a standoff.
Well, the suspect then did raise a firearm toward law enforcement, and shots were fired by law enforcement officers on the scene. The suspect was deceased. He succumbed to his injuries at the scene, and everything remains under investigation at this time.
For more, let's bring in NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster, who is in Cincinnati, and NBC senior reporter Ben Collins. Shaq, I want to start with you. Just tell us, what are we learning about the incident and the investigation? I mean, we should note all this came after the head of the FBI commented about threats this week to his agents, right?
Right, and this morning the FBI is saying that they are investigating what they're calling an agent-involved shooting that began right here at their Cincinnati field office. They say that that man came with that nail gun, fired it at personnel, then set off an alarm and waved around an AR-15 style weapon before leading county police and state police on that chase to a location about 30 miles away. That's when you had the standoff. They say he exchanged gunfire with officers, and then after he started raising his rifle toward officers about 6 hours later, that is when he was then killed. But look, this is a situation that the FBI has been concerned about since that search that you were talking about in Florida at Mar-a-Lago and the violent rhetoric that has come as a result of that. And I want you to listen to what we heard from the FBI director, Chris Wray, about threats like these.
Violence against law enforcement is not the answer, no matter what anybody's upset about or who they're upset with. And I think we have in this country had over the last few years an alarming rise in violence against law enforcement. Last year,
now, there were extensive negotiations according to the officers at the scene, and we don't know the content of those investigations. They say that's part, or of those negotiations, they say that's part of the investigation. But it's important to note no members of law enforcement were injured, no bystanders were injured. But of course, this is the type of situation that FBI officials were saying and warning against with that rhetoric that we've been hearing.
So, Ben, as soon as we learned Ricky Schaefer's name, you dug in, learned it appears he may have posted on social media in recent days about his desire to kill FBI agents. This all comes after the FBI searched Trump's home. What can you tell us about these social media posts that are being investigated?
Yeah, after the search of Trump's home, he said, "We must not tolerate this one" on Truth Social. Truth Social is the social network created by Donald Trump's media company and owned and founded by him. So after that, people started to get a little bit worried. He said, you should kill FBI agents on sight. By the way, this is a person using his full name as his username on Truth Social. People started to get worried even on Truth Social, and they sent that, they say, to the FBI. And when they told him this in the replies, he said, "Bring them on." This guy was ready to fight. The only reason, by the way, he used the nail gun, which he did, to try to get into the FBI building is because, quote, I thought I had a way through bulletproof glass, and I didn't. This was a post he put up shortly after, as you can see right here, shortly after he tried to get into the FBI building and before his shootout, basically, with the police in a cornfield. This was a guy who was, just like a lot of people on this website, agitating for violence against federal officers. This guy actually went through with it, though. That's the difference.
So, Ben, we have the post from this week, but on top of that, sources tell NBC News the suspect was present at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th last year. Do authorities know any ties to right-wing extremism and what role, if any, he played in the attack on the Capitol?
So we don't really know what he did on January 6th. We've seen him, behind barriers on January 6th. We've seen him in the background of lots of pictures. But this guy was very convinced that Antifa did it, even though he was there with his own eyes, seeing exactly what was going on that day. So in terms of connections to the groups, he told people several times to join their local Proud Boys chapter, as he believed the Civil War was about to heat up and that was going to be militia that was important to join nearby. The Proud Boys have a large presence in Ohio. One of their largest Telegram groups is in Ohio. This is a big space for them in terms of recruitment. So there are no official ties. Obviously, the Proud Boys in Ohio have not talked about this yet. But he said that he was a fan of them on social media.
Ben Collins, excellent reporting as always. Shaquille Brewster, thank you so much for joining us from Cincinnati. We appreciate it.
And now to some sad news involving the condition of actress Heche after that fiery crash last week. Her family says she isn't expected to survive. Her spokesperson released a statement saying she suffered a brain injury after her car crashed into a home in Los Angeles last week. She remains in a coma in critical condition. Police say Heche had drugs in her system and she is being investigated for possibly driving under the influence.
Heading into the weekend, drivers are getting some much-needed relief at the gas pump. For the first time since March, the national average for a gallon of regular gas has fallen below $4.
Great news. According to AAA this morning, that average now stands at $3.97 a gallon. That's down about 15 cents from even just a week ago and nearly 70 cents from last month. And while that is a sliver of good news, filling up is still far more costly compared to this time last year when the average was about $3.19 a gallon. For more, we're joined by the founder of the Energy Word and author of Turning Oil Green, Dan Dicker. Dan, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. So, as we just said earlier, gas prices are down nearly 70 cents from last month. That's quite a drop in such a short amount of time. Obviously, we're happy to have some good news for people on this Friday morning. So tell us what's behind this drop.
Well, I think for the most part it is a reaction to a very long-term systemic problem in the supply chain with all things, but gasoline has been the worst of it, of course. I mean, there's been a lot of shutdowns of oil producers here in the United States during the pandemic, and then the demand just came rushing back, and it kind of outran what the refineries were capable of delivering. We got very, very high prices that were not even concurrent with where crude was going. Even crude at $110 or $120 a barrel didn't really make a case for $5 gas. So the supply chain's catching up, and refiners are catching up. And that combined with drivers who obviously have been hurt really hard by $5 a gallon gas are driving a whole lot less. So you have demand being taken out of the system and supply being returned. It's real simple stuff, and the price has been coming down.
So $5 is bad, $4 is better, $3 sounds nice. So do we know? I mean, is this right now the cheapest we're going to see for some time, or could we see even more of a dip in the coming weeks?
I think there's more contraction in what we call crack spreads. That is the differential between crude oil and gasoline. And so you will see some more relief in terms of the prices at the pump. But in terms of energy overall in this country and globally particularly, there's still a major crisis because of Russia's Ukraine incursion and what's going on in Europe. The Europeans are trying very, very hard to get off of Russian fossil fuel for the winter. And that's putting tremendous pressure on fossil fuels everywhere to supplant those supplies in Europe. And that will continue through the rest of the summer and into the winter, which will put upward pressure, I think, on oil prices and ultimately on gas prices, too.
So it sounds like right now there's some good news for drivers, but not necessarily good news when those energy bills come, right?
I wouldn't take, these lower prices as a trend going forward, that we're going to get continually lower prices. I still believe we're in the midst of what is a very, very bad energy super spike, where we're going to see oil prices over the course of the next year start to creep again towards $100, $120, $130, maybe even $150 a barrel.
Well, that's not great news, but at least we started with some good news.
Exactly. We'll take it right now. We're going to live in the present.
Dan, thanks so much.
Well, let's turn now to weather in the present and see what we can expect in the future, your weekend ahead.
And Bill Cairns is with us on this Friday morning. Hi, Bill.
Hey, happy Friday, guys. Hopefully you felt it in the air today. Things are a little more crisp, or I mean, it's not exactly like sweater weather yet, but we're getting there. This morning in Detroit and Syracuse, you're the first one. So these are the current temperatures out there. Many people are in the 70s. That's still very summer-like. But when you look at Detroit and Syracuse, that's the air that's coming down from the north. They're in the 50s right now. So I wouldn't doubt if there's one or two people even put the heat in their car this morning and temperatures in the 50s. So the pattern change is underway. So this is going to set up a couple chances of rain. And what's happened over the last couple of weeks without any rainfall at all, we've snuck into extreme drought category in areas of eastern Massachusetts, from Boston all the way down towards the Cape, and for that matter from Maine all the way to New York City. We're about 5 to 10 inches behind, so this area could use some rain chances. It looks like it's going to be dry this weekend, which is good for everyone, and then the rain chances will be Monday and Tuesday of next week, so keep that in mind for any travel plans. It doesn't look like a huge rain event, but we need whatever we can get in this region. So as far as the relief goes, no relief for the heartland. It's still going to be exceptionally hot over the next couple days. Today we're going to be about 98 in Wichita. We're going to be near 95 in Omaha. That's about 11 degrees warmer than it should be. And how about Rapid City? Almost up there near 100. Same for Boise. And as we head through the weekend, the middle of the country really stays on the front burner. 102 by the time we get to the end of the weekend in Dallas. Houston should be in the mid-90s also. So the forecast for today, beautiful summer-like conditions with low humidity. Boston to New York, just about perfect. In the southeast, we'll still have some storms to deal with. And as far as the weekend forecast goes, if you're down along the Gulf Coast, go to the beach early. It looks like the afternoon storms will be popping up and be pretty widespread. That goes from Galveston all the way through the beautiful beaches there in Alabama, heading into the Florida Panhandle, and even into Sunday, that same thing goes. But I think most people you talk to this weekend will say this is about as good as it gets for the middle of August.
Yeah. Bill is ready for a pumpkin spice latte and a hayride, it sounds like, right?
I'm not there yet.
The hayride, yes. The whole pumpkin nutmeg thing is just not me.
Well, I agree. I think it's disgusting. But I'm also just not ready yet. It's still summer.
Oh, okay.
You are?
Nah, I always like fall, but I'm just sick of the hot weather. So
I'm ready.
Yeah, Bill is ready.
All right, see you in a bit, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Now, that extreme weather, it's not just here in the U.S. In France, firefighters are struggling against the elements, trying to contain what they call a monster wildfire.
Coming up on Morning News Now, we'll take you overseas for the latest on the conditions challenging the firefight. We're back now with the latest on the extreme heat that's wreaking havoc on many parts of Europe.
For days now, firefighters in southwest France have been battling what's been described as a monster wildfire. And across the continent, an unprecedented drought is drying up major rivers and reservoirs, forcing many countries to impose water restrictions. NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from London. Matt, let's start off with those wildfires in France. First, what's the situation like there today, and have firefighters been able to do anything to stop the spread?
Well, guys, I mean, it says something that it almost feels like Groundhog Day. I'm coming at you again with the same reporting about France as we saw about 3 weeks ago. That was when the Gironde region was in flames. And once again, we're seeing it burning. Yesterday when I was talking about this, we were saying that it was about 6,000 hectares or 6,200 hectares of land had been burned. This morning, we're seeing well more than 7,000 in just the space of a day. And now there are agencies from all over Europe who are sending aid and help, vehicles, tools for putting out fires to the southwest region of France as it continues to burn. And, it was only Wednesday night that the French authorities decided to double the number of firefighters who are fighting that fire in the Gironde region. So it just goes to show they're really trying to fight this fire. They're trying to control a fire that is really setting ablaze to the wine country of France. That could really hurt the economy. And yet at the same time, they're asking for more help. And it looks as though this fire is continuing to spread despite the best efforts of French authorities to try to put it out.
And Matt, closer to home for you, in the last few moments, the British government has formally declared a drought in parts of England. What does that mean for people living there? What kind of measures could be introduced?
Yeah, and that just happened within the last 30 minutes. We saw an announcement from water authorities here that there is a drought, not just here in London, but through 8 of 14 different delineated regions here in England. They have declared a drought. Now, that is a legal distinction, and it just means that water companies are now empowered to restrict water, what they call here a hose pipe ban, basically saying you can't use hoses in your garden. But water companies have been assuring the government that there are enough essential supplies to continue for the rest of this season. However, if you look behind me here, I'm in the town of Greenwich, which is outside of central London. You have a great view of the city of London. And if you look down, you can see all of this is normally almost always totally a beautiful verdant green. And now today, and really for most of the summer, it's been this really kind of yellowish color, which just goes to show this city, this country is not used to this kind of extreme weather. Guys, I got to tell you, I was looking at watching some of our colleagues reporting from Mar-a-Lago in Florida. The high temperature here is supposed to reach about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the same high temperature as they're going to be seeing in Mar-a-Lago. That is something that just isn't something that Brits are used to, and it is going to deal a body blow to planning for the future, especially as the government decides that this is going to become the normal. This is the new normal, and it's going to become a story for every season, every year from here on out.
And Matt, it's not just where you are in the UK that they're seeing drought conditions. Water levels of many rivers all across Europe are falling. These are major European arteries like the Rhine and the Po. What kind of impact is that having?
The main and most obvious and immediate impact is going to be agricultural, and we're starting to see this throughout not just Britain, but throughout all of Europe, where 60% of the European Union are facing drought pressures or drought declarations. That is a really high number for a continent that, again, just like Britain, doesn't see a lot of extreme weather. But we're going to start seeing now knock-on effects when it comes to transportation, not just agriculture. The Rhine and the Po, major rivers, they're still used as major ways of transporting goods throughout continental Europe. So now, as the water levels decrease, we're going to be starting to see barges, low-level barges that normally would be able to traverse those rivers. They're going to be restricted from traversing those rivers, which means a lot of transportation, the supply of goods, a lot of that is going to be stalled. So we got to remember, when it comes to drought, when it comes to climate change issues, it's not just agriculture. It's also transportation.
Domino effect. All right, Matt, thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt. And now let's stay on international news, get you more headlines. We're going to start in Ukraine with growing concerns about the situation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant.
NBC's Megan Fitzgerald joins us from London with that and other world headlines. Hey, Megan, good morning.
Hey guys, yeah, good morning to you. That's right. We do start in the southeast region of Ukraine talking about that nuclear plant. Now, as you may remember, it's been struck several times in recent times, really, because of this ongoing war that's happening. And so now the UN's nuclear watchdog is saying that the plant has reached a grave hour. Part of the plant has now been knocked out, which is creating the potential for radiation to leak out. Right now, officials say there's no imminent threat, but that could change at any moment. All right, I want to switch gears now and tell you about the story coming out of Lebanon, where an armed man who held several people hostage inside a bank in Beirut is being called a hero. But here's the kicker. He was demanding $210,000 of his own money. And here's the backstory. Because of the economic crisis in the country, banks have frozen people's savings for nearly 2 years now, only allowing them to withdraw roughly about $200 a month. That's part of the reason why some 80% of the country is considered living in poverty. As for that hostage taker, he said he did what he did because he was trying to pay his dad's hospital bills. And lastly, in New Zealand, it was an all-hands-on-deck team effort to try and save 7 dolphins trapped on shore. The volunteers used buckets of water and wrapped these dolphins in towels to try and keep them hydrated until the tide came in. It was successful, though 2 died before the team arrived. But sadly, this is just all too common in New Zealand, where every year they see hundreds of dolphins and whales beached. The question is why. Officials there say it remains a mystery. Guys.
Hard to hear that. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Megan. And coming up, the CDC making major changes to its COVID guidelines.
The new guidance about when you should quarantine, plus the new recommendations for testing in schools. Welcome back. Now to the big change in the CDC's guidance on COVID. The agency now says people don't need to quarantine if exposed to COVID. The CDC is also recommending that schools focus on routine testing only for high-risk activities like contact sports in order to try and contain outbreaks.
The updated guidance also says if you are exposed to COVID, you can wear a high-quality mask for 10 days and then get tested after the 5th day instead of quarantining. And the agency no longer recommends staying at least 6 feet away from other people to reduce the risk of exposure.
For more on all this, we are joined by NBC News medical contributor and emergency medicine physician, Dr. Heche Blackstock. She is also the CEO of Advancing Health Equity. Dr. Blackstock, good to have you with us. So, these new guidelines come as COVID cases continue to decline right now throughout the country, down 17% over the last 2 weeks. The CDC says 95% of Americans have either had COVID or they've been vaccinated against it. But the agency also makes it clear we're still in a pandemic. So what should we make of these new guidelines?
Hi, Joe and Savannah. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, so I see these guidelines sort of as a natural progression of where the CDC has been going in terms of where they're putting responsibility from social institutions onto individuals. I don't necessarily think that's the best idea right now, given that we still are very much in a pandemic and we don't know what the next variant will bring. In terms of the quarantine guidelines, I think that, if it became difficult for people without the social supports to stay home from work, or if parents had a child that was exposed to stay home from work, that is very difficult when you don't have paid sick leave. And so we didn't have the social supports in place to help people, do that quarantine. I do worry now that people, if they are exposed, may not necessarily wear a mask, or may not necessarily test themselves after 5 days. So these are just recommendations. And so I worry that while we relax these guidelines, it may be difficult if we go into another surge to reinstate some of these policies. So that's my concern right now, especially we don't know what the fall may bring.
So, Doctor, can we do a deeper dive on the quarantining aspect of this? Because obviously that was so huge, of course, whether you had the virus or whether you exposed. So what is it now? Is the intensity of quarantining sort of a thing of the past?
Yeah, again, it's only for people in very high-risk situations. They're basically telling you whether or not you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. And if you are exposed, you don't have to stay home anymore and quarantine. You should be wearing a high-quality mask for 10 days. You should definitely test on day 5. And I would actually say the more rapid tests you take, the more accurate the tests are. A single rapid test on day 5 actually is not that helpful. We have seen in studies that people may turn positive more than 5 days after. So a test on day 5 or day 7 actually would be more appropriate given these updated guidelines.
Dr. Heche Blackstock, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Doctor.
Thank you.
Coming up, so a millennial and a baby boomer walk into the metaverse.
Sounds like a twist on an old joke, but trust me, it's even funnier than you think. I'll show you what happened when I explored virtual reality with my friend Harry Smith. This is Morning News Now.
Metaverse has dance music.
All right,
for the last couple of weeks, we've been bringing you lots of trips into the metaverse, exploring how you can date there, make a lot of money there, even train to carry out surgery there.
But there are a lot of you at home probably who've never had a VR headset on, and you might be wondering, what is the deal with the metaverse, even after all these stories? Do we need it? Is it just a bunch of games? Well, I set to get you some answers with someone else who has a lot of questions.
If you're a little confused by the metaverse, you are not alone. It's growing rapidly, expected to explode to a $5 trillion industry by 2030. But it can seem like a whole new world if you've never used a VR headset. So I wanted to bring a first-timer in with me, our Harry Smith. See, Harry and I go way back, almost a decade.
Harry, does it remind you of when we spent a week together?
And we've gone from assistant and boss to really good friends. Look, that's Harry and my fiance. How cute are they? Anyway, it's safe to say Harry is a metaverse skeptic, but somehow I convinced him to come check it out.
I'm very curious.
We enlisted some guidance from Alex Heath, deputy editor at The Verge, to go over the basics.
I just described this as Metaverse 101. Do you want to take a crack at that in, say, 25 words or less?
You could think of it like the digital world we have now, but 3D, and you're inside it.
Relatively speaking, is this like embryo? Is this a baby?
I would say we're in the dial-up era of the metaverse, if you think of it that way.
I think it's fun. I can see the appeal. So many people are like, we don't need more virtual reality. What do you say to that?
You know, there's this feeling of presence you have in this thing. I do think that has an interesting element of just kind of human interaction.
Well, you know what they say, don't knock it till you tried it.
That's what they say.
So we put on our MetaQuest headsets.
Harry, are you in?
I'm so in already.
And we were off.
Isn't it cool?
Can you read my body language?
We first headed to Meta's Horizon Worlds, where some chaos and clarity ensued.
I'm over by the pole now. I don't want to be by the pole. How do I get back to my spot? Oh, I see. Okay, well, I'm sick to my stomach now. No, I'm already going to vomit.
Why are you going to vomit? What's the matter? Hey, Harry. I like your tie.
Megan Fitzgerald, Director of Product Marketing, stepped in to show us the ropes.
Megan, take us someplace.
Step one is mastering moving through this beautiful space.
I'm not sure beautiful is a word that would, it's interesting.
This is our plaza.
Harry just disappeared.
Harry's away.
I'm back.
With the gang back together, we set off on a relaxing start to our journey. A little metaverse meditation.
There's spa music playing, and it should be Flintstone music. Can't you, like, just hook it up to Spotify or something?
How can you sit for meditation with no legs?
That's a really good point.
My little circle thing is like just frozen here and I can't move.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the dial-up analogy, right?
I'm so sorry.
I'm stuck.
For the record, everybody, Alex is stuck in the metaverse. What do you? Where's the camera?
Well, you can't tell. Which way? So is this the camera?
Next, I wanted to show Harry one of the most popular uses of the metaverse, games. But it wasn't so popular with Harry.
Me personally, this is lost on me.
So not exactly Harry's thing, but I had an idea.
So we're going to see a Foo Fighters concert.
Really?
Venues is a virtual space dedicated to events like live sports, comedy shows, and rock concerts.
To me, this looks like a place I'd want to hang out a little bit.
Hey, we found it.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Music's getting louder. Woohoo!
What do you think?
It's pretty cool.
Harry's jamming out.
Foo Fighters! Where's my Bic lighter?
Success, a win with Harry. And I had one more trick up my sleeve.
This is cool.
Bienvenido de Machu Picchu.
National Geographic's take on the metaverse, take you around the world.
This is pretty cool. It's not as, honestly, as crystal clear as I assumed it would be.
Yeah, like if you really get up to an animal, it doesn't look right.
You know what? This is like a great appetizer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it does feel, like these layers of the mountain range. I'm like, oh, wow, look how big this place is.
It really would be amazing to see in person.
An all-around great day into the metaverse to South America and back. It just takes a little getting used to.
I'm now standing on the edge of a wall, and it looks like about a 15-foot drop. And I'm starting to get sick to my stomach.
It is a little nauseating.
Dramamine in the metaverse, apparently.
I think so. You know what? Or the patch. You need a little patch.
Yeah. The seasickness.
Yeah. Honestly, when I thought about it later, I thought, you know what? It's like being in a South Park episode, right? Because it's like the animation is really primitive. It's not evocative on any level. It's very flat. You know you're in 3D, but it's really, really pretty one-dimensional, or maybe two, but not. Anyway,
I mean, you didn't have legs.
I just exactly right. And I guess because it was so hyped up, I thought I'm going to step into the metaverse and I'm going to go, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing that ever happened. But as our guide told us, this is like dial-up, which needs to be explained to people of a certain age. We used to plug your computer into a phone line, and which was so unbelievably slow. There was no streaming, there was no anything, so that's where it is.
And he did say, though, we should make a date for in a few years, and we'll be blown away by what it could be then, which we'll see.
Well, and I was really excited about going to see something real like Machu Picchu. But we're so accustomed to 4K screens at home now, and you go there and you go, come on. I had a Viewmaster when I was the little kid. And okay, can we show that thing? Which is just a 20th century version of what was invented in the 19th century called a stereoscope, which was a 3D viewer. So this is how far the metaverse has come from the Viewmaster. Thus far, I would say.
I will say, though, it did feel good that it felt like we were hanging out. We could have been in two different states, and we were experiencing the Foo Fighters together, not just watching it separately on YouTube.
Not even in the neighborhood.
That's what I thought.
No, I mean, honestly, if you were watching Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters, and we were sitting there together, we're like, this is how great is this? Versus, well, I like the music, right?
We got the Foo Fighters.
So, in conclusion, Harry's skeptical.
Harry's still skeptical.
All right,
we ultimately
Harry,
had fun.
Savannah, thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Harry.
We got some financial news now. Apple is hoping the state of the economy doesn't impact its iPhone production.
And CNBC's Courtney Reagan joins us now with that and other headlines. Hey, Courtney, good morning.
Hi, good morning. So Apple is asking its suppliers to make at least as many new iPhones as they did last year. Bloomberg reports Apple expects them to make about 200 million total iPhones this year. This could suggest Apple's confident it will be able to withstand a slowing global economy, supply chain disruptions, and other issues, and still drive strong demand for its devices. IKEA has struck a deal to install fast chargers for electric vehicles at more than 25 U.S. stores. The partnership with Electrify America will bring more than 200 individual charging stations in 18 states, including California, Florida, Texas, and Pennsylvania. They'll serve both customers and IKEA's van and truck fleet. The first chargers will be available by the end of the year, and the full rollout will be complete by the end of next year. Electrify America aims to have 1,800 fast charging stations in place across North America by the end of 2025. And Walgreens is offering new pharmacists a $25,000 signing bonus as it struggles to fill the positions. The Labor Department says pharmacists earned an average of more than $128,000 last year. The average pay for a Walgreens pharmacist is just north of $133,000. The Wall Street Journal says Walgreens typically offers a signing bonus of $30 to $50,000 paid out after a new employee is on the job for at least a year. Not bad. Back over to you guys.
Not bad at all. All right, Courtney, thank you so much.
Thanks, Courtney. And coming up, she's always a bridesmaid, literally.
Yeah, we're going to introduce you to a woman who's made it her job, yes, her actual job, to be there for a stranger on their wedding day. Welcome back. We've had a bit of a scorching summer here in New York City, but one Brooklyn landlord is now drowning in fines after beating the heat to a whole new level. The landlord of this building in Williamsburg was fined $50,000 for having an illegal pool on the roof. New York City Department of Buildings says the roof was not reinforced to support the 480-square-foot pool, which could hold up to 60 tons of water. It's a lot of water. NBC News has reached out to the landlord for comment, but so far this morning, we've not yet heard back. You just go in those little mini pools.
I bet everybody was like, yay! And then they're like, oh, shoot.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. Is the ceiling going to cave in?
Right. Uh-oh.
Would be a concern.
All right. So the movie 27 Dresses, you've probably seen it. It's about to come to life with our next guest.
Yeah, if you're looking for bridesmaids, maybe you're thinking of your best friends, your sisters, maybe college roommates. But you can also just hire one.
Yeah, Jen Glantz is a professional bridesmaid. From dress fittings to speeches to bachelorette parties, she takes the phrase, always a bridesmaid, truly to the next level.
Yeah, Jen will even create fake names and backstories for brides who don't want their guests to know that they hired her, which is pretty genius. All right, Jen joins us in studio. Jen, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I'm totally fascinated, and I just want to know how you got to this point. What made you decide to start to do this? And then what goes into this? I mean, the fake names, the backstories, how do you do that?
Well, thank you so much for having me, and congratulations on your upcoming wedding. I was always a bridesmaid in my 20s. All my friends got engaged, and after I was a bridesmaid so many times, I posted an ad on Craigslist offering my services to strangers. The ad blew up, and 8 years later, I've worked hundreds of weddings for strangers all over the world.
Why do people need this? Like, what is it? What are the reasons?
There's two main reasons. One is that they don't have any close friends, which isn't sad. It happens to all of us in our lives. And the second reason is because their friends are a hot mess and they need a professional to step in and do some of the dirty work. And that's what I'm the best at.
So then if you're like at the Bachelorette with the real friends, are you pretending like you know them from somewhere and they all just don't know about that?
Exactly. So only the bride who hired me knows I'm hired. Everyone else thinks I'm a real friend. So they're wondering why I haven't been around. They're wondering who I am. It can be really dramatic. And when you're on a bachelorette party, your job is to have fun. So it can be a little rough.
I can just imagine that being like, have you met her?
Yeah,
no, I mean,
yeah.
I bet no.
Yeah,
Okay.
not one time.
Put the
Right?
pieces together. So, I mean, I bet you get some rather extreme requests. What are some of the
Yes.
funniest things you've had asked of you to do by a
I've
bride?
had to be a bodyguard for a bride who's fired her maid of honor and was scared she was going to crash the wedding. I've had to scoop animal poop up off an aisle so the bride's dress didn't get dirty. The most popular request is helping a bride go to the bathroom in a wedding dress, which is harder than it looks. And I've had to do a lot of cold feet. I've had to deal with a lot of brides who 5 minutes before the wedding, they want to back out. And that's on me to help them.
So how serious do you get with your background stories? Like beforehand, what are you thinking? Like, how old am I? Where'd I go to school? Where am I from? Is that always different?
It's a lot of research. It's always different. Fake name, fake story. I had to memorize street corners, places we hung out in high school. I have to really blend into their lives. And when I have multiple weddings a weekend, it gets really complicated.
You're like going deep into their social
Yes.
media.
That's so funny. All right, Jen. So as you mentioned, I'm getting married.
Yes.
I'm actually not doing bridesmaids because so many people.
You're not now.
Yeah.
But you are.
But now I've met Jen. My sister is my maid of honor, but what do I need to know about surviving it? What have you seen that people need to be prepared for that's going to happen that is something you would swoop in and fix?
I would say that something is going to go wrong and know that ahead of time. And when it goes wrong, let it go. You can't always fix everything on your wedding day, but it goes by so fast. And second, enjoy every moment. And I know that's cliche, but keep your eyes open and take in every single second, because before you know it, it's over and the wedding is done. Also know that the wedding is just one part of the marriage. So focus more on what's going to happen after the wedding rather than just the celebration.
What do you enjoy more, doing like the bridesmaid, like the bachelorette parties or the actual weddings?
I actually like when the wedding is over and getting to say goodbye and then saying, you know what, I'm glad that we had this friendship, we had this moment, but now I don't have to see you anymore and I can go back to my real life.
Do you ever talk to them again? Like some of them are you friends with?
Sometimes yes, but most of the time I realize in real life we probably wouldn't be friends, so it's best to end it right here.
Quickly figure that out.
Would you ever hire a bridesmaid?
I would. I absolutely would. If I was to have a real wedding, we eloped, but if I had a real wedding, I would hire all my bridesmaids.
All right. Jen, that was so interesting. Thank you so much. Thanks for the advice for myself. Also very helpful.
Thank you.
Great to have you.
That does it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.